Germantown Community Television, your hometown news and information station.
Welcome back. I'm Vince Perryman and you're watching Legalese. Joining us on our show is Gwen Hewitt. We are discussing property taxes. Gwen, before the break we were talking about, what are some good reasons to challenge your property assessment with the tax assessor. And, I've seen on occasion where you've got the north side of the street's property assessments go down and the south side of the streets go up. And you look at that and you go, okay, well, wait a minute, how is this occurring in this scenario? And, is it, how do you take that in and say, well, wait a minute, something's not right here. We live across the street from one another.
There are, when you think of how broad the assessment job is in Shelby County, you know that no matter how good a job you do, that there are going to be areas where people say, no, that's not right, and you want to go back and look at it again. Lawyers especially help with that, as you know, Vince, because we're pretty good advocates on helping people challenge those situations. But someone needs to identify the problem first, and then you look at it more closely. In situations, there are, as you've noted or said, there are drainage ditch issues, there are traffic issues, there are easement issues. There are varying reasons why you could have lots side by side and yet still have a different value on those would otherwise appear to be identical lots. But when you look closer, that some of the properties may have had more permits drawn for internal remodifications within the houses that might not be apparent from the street, but it may be that all of these houses over here have been updating them and the ones across the street haven't. So, each of those situations takes some expertise and knowledge and looking at the tiny facts, taking a microscope to it or a magnifying glass and looking at what the differences are.
So, and then I guess really what you're looking for too are comparables to your specific piece of property to be able to show, okay, here's one that has sold and it's got the same square footage, same amount of bathrooms, same lot size.
Comparables are the only thing comparables are one of the main things that are necessary in order to contest, because if you think your property is not valued, show me one that's just like it in your neighborhood or similar enough that we can say, yeah, that's comparable. That value did sell and it was an arm's length transaction. Maybe we should be giving that one more weight.
So, and I guess the big question with this is with all the foreclosures that are out there and that the foreclosure sales, since they occur on the courthouse steps, they're not taken into account for the assessment. So if your only comparables as far as transactions that have gone on are foreclosure sales, then what do you do in that situation?
Well, I believe that the assessor has used whatever comparables that they had that have been arm's length transactions for the appropriate period of time. One of the things that would be important for the viewers to think about is this assessment is of January 1st of 2009. Next year, on January 1st of 2010, if your property value isn't what you think it should be sold at on January 1st of 2010, you may want to turn around and reappeal your property value. Because I believe it's possible that with all of the foreclosures coming in, while those foreclosures have been happening more recently, those properties are going to have to be turned around and sold in arm's length transactions that might be at a lower amount, driving down neighborhoods where there are many foreclosures. So that theoretically, if you have a large number of foreclosures in a neighborhood, your arm's length transaction or your fair market value in 2010 might be less than in 2009. And I would encourage people to be diligent about making sure that their assessment is an amount that they believe they could sell their property for, because nobody wants to pay more taxes than their fair share.
Right, and I guess one question that raises for me, because I guess I was thinking that it was once every 3 years you got a shot at challenging your assessment, but realistically it'd be once a year. How much time do I have from the date of the assessment for that year to actually go and ask for them to look at it again?
Well, keep in mind, you've been given, everyone in Shelby County has been mailed a notice that this is what their assessment is, what their appraisal is currently. That 2009 appraisal shouldn't change unless you do something to make it change. So next year in 2010, you already know what your appraisal is. But what you have to think about is, will my house sell for that? And obviously, during this show, we're talking more about residential than commercial, but we can address that component later. But next year, and every year, including this year, the appeal period for the assessments for the Shelby County Board of Equalization, the appeal period begins May 1st always, and it always runs through June 30th and is sometimes extended. So you can always expect that during that window, you can make a legal appeal on your property value and have it heard by the appropriate bodies. The assessor's office generally also keeps the informal appeal process open. I think they open starting in like March perhaps, and you can go online and file an appeal and perhaps get it resolved. But keep in mind, if you don't get that resolved, you might want to remember to appeal officially to the Legal Board of Equalization to make sure that your appeal is legally within the administrative process.
Okay, and I guess so. First, you ask for the informal appeal, and if they tell you no, then you bump it up to the Board of Equalization. Well, if you don't agree with what the Board of Equalization says, do you have any other remedies?
Well, there are successive higher levels of administrative agencies that review your appeals, and there are three levels of administrative agencies, and if you can't get relief in any of those, there's always the state courts.
Okay. And it's an interesting process because it's one of those that we don't really think about it except when the assessments come out. But, you know, I know one thing that before we go to our break here, we'll segue into the what you do with unpaid property taxes and those things. As far as if you can't afford to pay your property taxes, what are some things that you can do to stop it from a tax sale if it's gone that far?
Do you want to begin that now or after the break?
Well, actually, we should probably go to a break. You might be a better host than I am. When we return from our break, we'll talk more with Gwen Hewitt about property tax. Please stay with us.